Welcome to Light Novel Sound, where we bring stories to life. Get ready for an epic journey through Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, a story filled with action, mystery, and mind-blowing twists. A huge thank you to Sing-Shong for crafting this incredible story. If you enjoy this audiobook, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, sit back, relax, and let's begin. Chapter 66, Master of the Throne, 3. We were going to enter the dungeon but not to get the 4-yin demonic beheading sword. Yo Sanga and Li Gilyong immediately understood what I meant. You are going to take their flags. Then you will kill them. They had different interpretations. Yo Sanga looked down at Li Gilyong with surprised eyes. The interesting thing was that Li Gilyong looked up at Yo Sanga with disappointment. Hyung, leave the finishing touches to me. This boy, he already noticed that I couldn't directly kill a person. The exclusive skill, character list is activated. This person isn't registered in character list. Currently collecting information about the corresponding figure. Li Gilyong's information still wasn't available. I turned my head and encountered Yo Sanga's worried eyes. She looked between Li Gilyong and I before bowing her head. I spoke to Li Gilyong, do as you please. I could see what Yo Sanga was worried about. Li Gilyong wasn't even in middle school yet. But she should be aware of it. The morals that we used to have were now useless in this world. This isn't a game. Be careful. Yes, don't worry. I listened to Li Gilyong's voice and hid the flag on my back. Until now, the flag was a good bait to attract the small kings. However, from now on, it would just be bait for predators. There was nothing good about advertising that I was a king on this battlefield. The intermediate Dokibi's voice was heard. Who? Everyone is doing well. So many people are doing hidden scenario, then what is the meaning of hidden? It had no nerves. I would find it embarrassing now and again. Someone has already fulfilled the requirements for the first qualification. Once again, this is interesting. A king had already achieved the black flag. It was probably one of the 7 kings. After a while, the requirements of the second qualifications will be revealed. I turned to look at the party members and said, quickly, the Dokibis after a while might not be long. I put together the Sang-Pyong Tongbo coins in the lobby one by one. You have entered a hidden field using 10 Sang-Pyong Tongbo coins. Do you want to enter the hidden chapter, the Big Dipper? Right now, I had the purple flag. The kings with the same purple flags would flock to the Big Dipper. In other words, my prey were all gathered in one place. You have entered the Big Dipper chapter. My vision waved and the lobby soon changed. The white marble lobby was transformed into a spacious waiting room. There were 7 doors at the end of the waiting room. Ah! Yo Sanga let out a brief groan and took a step back. There were bodies at Yo Sanga's feet. They were the bodies of group members who had fought each other. Li Gilyong looked down at the corpses with an expressionless face. There were so many bodies that it was hard to walk straight. Hundreds of bodies were scattered all over the place like graves. There was a wave of blood already. I felt a bit strange. If I hadn't spread the plagiarist writer's textbook, they might not have died. Then didn't they die because of me? Hey, there are people. The center of the waiting room contained a huge body using the bodies of people as fuel. I could see the faces of some survivors. I didn't know if they were allies or held a truce, but they weren't fighting. I looked at the group of people and spoke to my party members. Be careful. A group stood up. Greed could be seen in their eyes. You are a newcomer. Who is your king? Some people secretly moved behind our party while others drew our attention. The encirclement was gradually becoming narrower. Is it you? Or maybe the woman next to you? It can't be the kid. Many of the constellations are annoyed by the pests. A few constellations want you to take serious action. I was already planning on that. Hey, why aren't you answering, Ark? The white light of unbroken faith filled the air. The unstoppable trajectory cut off the limbs of a person. A confused person shouted, damn! Just kill him. The people took out their weapons like they had been waiting. But it was too late. Why are you so fast? There were few people with agility higher than me right now. They didn't have high-level skills, so no one other than the 7 kings could follow my movements right now. The blade of faith swung in a semicircle and cut 5 or 6 people at the same time. The attack that followed cut off a hand holding a weapon. I pierced another wrist. Kuak! The severed limbs flew unrealistically through the air. I walked behind a man screaming painfully and used a skill. The exclusive skill hit a pressure point. LV1 is activated. I had cut off the man's limbs, but there was no need to be cruel. There was a dark blue dagger hidden in the man's arms. This was the poisonous dagger that could be obtained at the end of the 5-person dungeon, the Dongui Bogum. If my response had been even a bit late, this would have been us. As soon as the people collapsed, I called to Li Gilyang. Please. Li Gilyang nodded. Li Gilyang's hand stopped the people's breathing one by one. He moved his hand like he was killing insignificant insects. I was also a little surprised. Then Yo Sanga came forward. I'll do it, Gilyang. Can you do it? I will still do it. Yo Sanga's tone was unusually stubborn. She looked grimly at Li Gilyang. She held a knife and turned her back to me. Maybe Yo Sanga despised me. Perhaps it was fortunate that I couldn't read Yo Sanga's mind. Yo Sanga moved even more efficiently than Li Gilyang and took the lives of the remaining people. Her fingertips trembled as the work finished. Will we continue in this fashion? Yes, probably. I will do it in the future instead of Gilyang. Can you do it? There is no problem. It is just like breaking an egg. Yo Sanga used an analogy as she pretended to be calm. I can do it better. Li Gilyang grumbled, making Yo Sanga place a hand on his head. There would be many twists and turns in the future. Sometimes we might feel like collapsing or want to give up. But we had to overcome it. Most of the 7 kings we would soon meet would have higher stats than us, and they would also possess unique skills. There would certainly be situations where we couldn't win without being hit by the enemies. We silently picked up the items that the group dropped. You have earned 2,300 coins. The item Dongui Bogum, various diseases, upper half of the body, has been acquired. As expected, they were people who cleared the 5-person dungeon. A total of 8 books were available from the 5-person dungeon, each with different usages. I was sure there were a few people who cleared the 5-person dungeon, so the others should be moderately easy to find. Unfortunately, there was no king in the group I just killed. Clap, clap, clap. Then the sound of clapping was heard. One of the men watching from the big bonfire approached me with a smile on his face. He showed no signs of panic despite the other group being wiped out. I raised my item and warned them casually. What do you want? The man took one step back and raised both hands as if he had no intention of fighting. Calm down. I don't want to fight. I took a closer look at the man. There was a large spear on his back. The firm chest muscles were revealed by the clothes and his long hair was tied back. You have great skills. You don't seem to have any passive skills, but you wiped out the Changzhong group. Those bastards, they are one of the groups that lost their king. Of course, that's why they came forward so recklessly. But you're a little late. The major kings have all entered the dungeon. They will be busy fighting now. Well, the winner is almost decided, but the last king who passed through here was incredibly fierce. Who is that? Do you know the Tyrant King? The man continued to speak. He is currently the most powerful king in Northern Seoul. This is a story between those who already know. The owner of the absolute throne will surely be the Tyrant King. A person might think so if they saw the Tyrant King in person. The Tyrant King's armed force was certainly the top among the 7 kings. But it was laughable for him to be the owner of the absolute throne. The Tyrant King was strong, but he wasn't the strongest among the 7 kings. As if reading my mind, the man opened his mouth. But I don't think so. I think that the Tyrant King will never become the owner of the absolute throne. Why do you think that? I saw it myself. He has a strong power, but he doesn't know how to handle people. A king must know the hearts of the people. The hearts of the people? My king is able to do that. It is why many incarnations follow him. I am sure that my king will become the master of the absolute throne. I followed the man's glance. The Big Dipper chapter consisted of 7 entrances. Perhaps his king was moving in one of the passages. What is your point? Do you want us to join you? Haha, that would be nice, but you won't follow me just like that, right? I just want to make an offer. If you don't mind, why don't you ally with us? I realized why this man was still in the waiting room. This guy was a bait. Why should I? The Tyrant King is very strong. I believe in my king, but I don't think he can defeat the Tyrant King alone. In contrast to his loyalty, he was a very realistic guy. But he was a real loyalist. Think about it. What will happen if we can't stop him from holding the legendary sword? What if he gets the absolute throne and controls all the kings in Seoul? Don't you think that you should stop this no matter what? I dimly remembered. It didn't happen in the 3rd regression, but the Anti-Tyrant King Alliance had formed many times in ways of survival. Once again, the future had changed. You have a point. That is why I'm making this suggestion. Our group will soon be acting against the Tyrant King. We have already talked with several other kings. I don't know what group you belong to, but you won't lose anything by joining us. You just need to give us a spoonful. It was exactly as he said. The problem was that the price of the spoonful was bigger than he thought. The man took my silence as my acceptance. If you are serious, you can meet our king and think about it. It is almost time for him to return to the waiting room. Oh, there he is. In fact, one of the 7 doors opened and the group that entered the Big Dipper returned. King! The people standing at the door knelt down at once. Then the man in the center of the crowd approached this side. He was a clean-shaven man. There was a brown club in his hands. Wait. This guy, was it him? Chapter 67, Master of the Throne, 4. The one-eyed man approached us. This was my first meeting with one of Seoul's 7 kings. Yo Sanga talked in the group chat. Dr. Sai, this person is perhaps? Yes, you're right. I nodded to Yo Sanga. It was impossible not to think of this person when seeing the appearance. By the way, I don't understand. Even if the constellation is that person, why is the incarnation dressed like that? His sympathy with the constellation seems to be high. The higher the sympathy rate, the more the incarnation is influenced by the lifestyle of the constellation. I should never cough in front of him. The man with long hair tied back was bowing to the man approaching us. Your Majesty, you came. Yes. What happened? Do I need to say it? Here. The one-eyed man pointed to his staff. There was a blue jewel available from the Big Dipper embedded on it. Greedy Wolf Star. The long-haired man admired it. Oh! Wasn't he quite good? Already gaining 1-star jewel. The star jewels were the rewards of the Big Dipper chapter. It was an item that increased overall stats by 1 level. It had a good effect on its own, but the star jewels were meaningful when 7 were collected. It was because the jewels were the summoning material for the 4-yin demonic beheading sword. The one-eyed man looked at me. Who are these people? They have just entered the Big Dipper chapter. Their abilities are quite good, so I was thinking about getting them to join. Really? The one-eyed man and I extended our hands to each other at the same time. I am Cha Sang-kyung. I am Kim Dokja. I shook his hand while activating a skill. The exclusive skill, character list, is activated. Character information. Name, Cha Sang-kyung. Age, 26 years old. Constellation support, one-eyed Metria. Private attribute, pseudo-sect founder, hero, Metria king, hero. Exclusive skills, weapons training LV5, mental barrier LV3, eloquent speech LV3, skillful deception LV3, false prayer LV1. Stigma, Metria promised land LV2, Law of Interest LV2, Demonic Enemy LV3. Overall stats: Physique LV28, Strength LV26, Agility LV28, Magic Power LV25. Overall evaluation: no one can be free in front of his that gives insight into everything. Be careful not to cough in front of him. It was regrettable that Jung Hee-won wasn't here. If she saw this man in front of me, she would never speak nonsense about my sponsor again. Si Sang-kyung said, I have a burden of seeing things. Can I look at you once? Yes. Yes, he could try. The character Si Sang-kyung has used Law of Interest LV2. The stigma law of interest was quite interesting among the investigation techniques in Ways of Survival. It didn't reveal the attributes window of the opponent, but it was a skill that roughly gave information about the personality of the opponent. In other words, he would see a easily fooled demonic enemy if the person was good, while he would see a backstabbing demonic enemy if the person was bad. For example, the character Si Sang-kyung has discovered that you are a demonic enemy that shouldn't be touched. It was like this. This. King, why are you acting like this? The character Si Sang-kyung is greatly disturbed. Si Sang-kyung shouted with a pale face. Demonic enemy. Here? It can't be. At his words, the group members of the Metria King simultaneously looked at me. The atmosphere became tense when Si Sang-kyung urgently added, And nothing. I have made a mistake. Here? There's nothing? Yes, it is nothing. Everyone back off. Indeed. He would be a fool to ignore the warning of the constellation. By the way, a demonic enemy that shouldn't be touched. Maybe the one-eyed Metria didn't want to fight with me. It isn't surprising. The dubious thing was the reaction of the long-haired man. It was momentary, but there was an expression of regret on his face. The plan will start in 1 hour. I'm looking forward to your participation despite being a bit late. Si Sang-kyung said before returning to his group members. The first encounter with Gung Yi ended like this. Gung Yi had a slight mention earlier in the novel. He is a king who proclaimed himself a Buddha and became a tyrant who sentenced death to anyone opposing him, including his own wife. The long-haired man said, Phew, it almost became a major event. I'm glad. It is absurd to say that he is a king who knows the hearts of the people. Haha, Gung Yi might be recorded as a tyrant later on, but he was a good and wise king first. You never know what will happen in the future. History can change. I looked carefully at the long-haired man and asked, By the way, who are you? Oh, I haven't introduced myself yet. I am Han Soo-young. I am Si Sang-kyung's assistant. A man who supported the incarnation of Gung Yi. It was highly likely that he was attached to Gung Yi's side because of his sponsor. Who was it? Perhaps it was a king? I immediately used a skill. The exclusive skill, character list, is activated. The information of this person can't be read in character list. This person isn't registered in character list. What? What's wrong? I looked at the shamelessly speaking Han Soo-young and couldn't help laughing. I see, now I knew who this person was. It's nothing. Just. I feel like you are a demonic enemy. Haha, what do you mean? I could see Han Soo-young's eyes change strangely. Maybe at this moment, both of us were thinking the same thing. The question was who would pull out a sword first. The doors of the waiting room started to open one by one. The kings are coming. There was tension in the Metria group while several people in the waiting room started cheering. I watched the kings walking out the door and asked Han Soo-young, Are they on the same side? Yes, they are all kings who promised to cooperate with us. From left to right, there is the prudent king Yoon Kyung and fighting king Kim Biko, then the last one who came out is the earth dragon king Jiu Daesung. I remembered something when I heard this nickname. The prudent king and fighting king. They were just like their nicknames. They had decent skills and stats, but they were one step lacking compared to the 7 kings. The only one I needed to pay attention to was the Earth Dragon King Jiu Daesung. Jiu Daesung discovered Sing-Shong and asked, "You have already come out? Fast. You are a rude earthworm." Earthworm? Is that what you are calling my sponsor? Yo Sanga was startled when she heard their words and whispered to me, "That person, I think he has a good sponsor behind him." How do you know? I heard the story that the King of Beach was born from an earth dragon. Earth dragon? That's what they meant by earthworm. The other kings are calling him the son of an earth dragon in a mocking manner. She was really amazing. She figured out the identity of Jiu Daesung with this much information. Yo Sanga was right. Earth Dragon King Jiu Daesung. In my memories, he was one of Seoul's 7 kings with the late King Gyeon Hwan as his sponsor. There are quite a few people with kings as a sponsor. Then the king we saw before. I nodded. In fact, it wasn't a coincidence that there were so many incarnations with a king as their sponsor. The situation would be similar in other areas, not just the Seoul Dome. In Japan, there would be a competition between the 3 heroes including Oda Nobunaga. In the UK, there would be a competition between Richard the Lionheart or Henry VIII. The world's greatest constellations would be preparing for a war over the absolute throne, raising their coordination with their incarnation to a breathtaking level. The constellation Maritime War God is expecting the appearance of a new Fable-class constellation. The constellation Bald General of Justice is watching the situation with sweaty hands. The other high-ranking constellations were also interested. It was natural. As I said before, the 4th scenario was an event for the greatest constellations of each country. Is everyone gathered? The kings soon gathered in the middle and gave a speech. Our enemy is the Tyrant King who entered the 3rd door. The Tyrant King has already received 2 jewels from this dungeon and cowardly raided innocent kings. Some of the people present would have lost a king to him. That's why this waiting room was a field of corpses. Perhaps the Tyrant King killed 2 kings and took away their star jewels. It meant he would soon gather all 7 star jewels. The new soul shouldn't be handed over to such a person. If he gets the 4-yin demonic beheading sword and then takes the absolute throne, there will be endless grief and tragedy in Seoul. Thus, the people have to fight. Get up right now. The kings here are all wise. The future will be fine no matter which of us becomes the absolute king. We have to at least stop the worst king. This will be a struggle for a righteous way of living. Take care. You will be great fighters taking your first step into a new history. The speech didn't have much substance, but people became excited. Some people cheered, some sympathized while others were touched to tears. It was like they were real revolutionaries fighting for justice. I looked at the scene alone. Just 1 month ago, the people here had voted for a president. They did their duty and agreed to have private property through legitimate economic activities. All of a sudden, it felt like a dream. In just 1 month, Seoul had returned to the kingdom days. Depart! Hundreds of people entered through the 3rd door. CHA Sang-Kyung's group was at the back and we moved in line with them. Our vision wavered before a giant tunnel appeared. It was a huge tunnel where the size couldn't be easily measured. Han Soo-young walked beside me and opened his mouth. This is so exciting. I feel like I'm in a martial arts novel. A martial arts novel? Han Soo-young nodded with a meaningful smile. Why, don't you think it is like a martial arts novel? It is like a treasure map. The legendary sword is sleeping in the stone chamber and whoever obtains the sword shall be the best person in the world. Han Soo-young spoke accompanied by gestures seemed quite plausible. It wouldn't be unbelievable if he was an actor. It is a common cliché in a martial arts novel, the treasure sword. Oh, Dr. Sai, do you read martial arts novels as well? It couldn't be missed when talking about genre fiction. I read quite a bit. By the way, there is a common development in these cliché novels. Common development? What is it? It turns out that the treasure map is a fake. This type of development. Han Soo-young's eyes shook. This is interesting. What happens next? It is an obvious story. The shadow laughs quietly and kills the people gathered because of the fake treasure. Oh, is that the current situation? Could someone be a shadow? I nodded and stated, it is a possibility, although I don't like such obvious clichés. What does that mean? To be honest, there are too many clichés like the treasure sword. There are too many stories, making it bad. For writers, I think it is a story that lacks distress. Han Suyeong's expression slightly hardened. Then what would Dr. Sai do if you were the writer? What if you had to write about the treasure sword? I'm not sure. I am a reader, as my name suggests. I think that a reader would do the same. Writing familiar clichés will give satisfaction to the readers. Yes, I thought he would say something like this. I smiled and asked, who said this? You are speaking as a writer. I'm not saying that clichés are bad. At the very least, a plagiarist shouldn't use it. Plagiarist. Yes, a plagiarist. It was funny to see Han Suyeong's face change colors. Well, every story is similar. It is the details that are a bit different. Can it really be called plagiarism? Perhaps if Dr. Sai is the writer. Nope, I would do it differently. Han Suyeong's eyebrows twitched. You would write it differently? How? For example, like this. I raised unbroken faith and cut his neck. No blood was visible as his head fell down. I added, why are you hiding when it will be revealed anyway? Then Han Suyeong's head spoke from where it was lying on the ground. How interesting. Kim Dokja. Chapter 68, Master of the Throne, 5. I picked up his severed head and asked, as expected, this is also an avatar. Han Suyeong is your real name? Yes. Han Suyeong was the first apostle as I thought. That damn plagiarist was always hiding like a coward. What is this guy? People shouted with alarm from all sides. There were confused voices and voices filled with betrayal. I stepped to one side with Yo Sanga and Lee Gil-young. Of course, Han Suyeong's talking head was still held in one hand. I was right. It is you who spread out the text novel. Right. That's right, I scattered the text version of your plagiarized novel. The revelation isn't plagiarized. It is plagiarism. Did you write the original setting? Don't compare my work to that rubbish. You understand what I am saying and don't deny reading the original. Han Suyeong glared at me. Everyone, kill him. What are you doing? A head is talking. Han Suyeong's expression distorted. People were alarmed by the turmoil but showed no signs of acting. In addition, they would soon have no room to worry about us. I smiled at Han Suyeong. The cliché that you said will start soon. I waited and there was a burst of light. The rings of light moved, drawing lines of blood on the bodies of some people. What? A person screamed as blood spurted from a body cut to pieces. The people in the back screamed and moved. Damn these guys. It was black magic power that came from a strong presence approaching in front of me. Raise the palanquin. The neutral voice came from the large palanquin. There was the shadow of someone inside the palanquin. I reflexively shouted. Yo Sangasai, Gil-young. Move back. A voice flowed from the palanquin. Move. The palanquin started to approach the group of people. The three rings of light mercilessly swept over the battlefield. Dozens of people died at once. People stared with disbelief as their limbs disappeared and blood spurted. The start of the battle lines instantly became bare. Ooh-ah! The terrified group members retreated. In the seething silence, everyone shut their mouths like dead mice. The tyrant king walked out of the palanquin. They really aren't very good. The kings of the previous age. He held the three-ring loop in his hand, an item that released condensed magic power. It was a hidden item available in Northern Seoul, but it wasn't something the original Tyrant King had. It must be true that he had some profits. The exclusive skill, character list is activated. Character information. Name, Jung Young-ho. Age, 33 years old. Constellation support, Great King Hyeonchun Hongdu Gyangmun Wimu. Private attribute, Circus member, rare, Tyrant King, hero. Exclusive skills, Grabbing techniques LV5, Sky steps LV3, Weapons training LV5. Stigma, Palanquin tank LV5, Kyeongmu LV5, Tyranny LV4. TL. Kyeongmu is a Korean mask dance that is the oldest surviving Korean court dance. It is also considered a shamanistic dance because it is performed to drive off evil spirits at the end of the year. Overall stats: Physique LV30, Strength LV28, Agility LV28, Magic Power LV34, +2. Overall evaluation: the worst tyrant on the Korean peninsula has met disgruntled citizens. Small citizens dissatisfied with the social system won't ignore the opportunities he gives them. Starter pack is currently applied. A growth package is currently applied. The new scenarios package is currently applied. The attributes window made sense. He was so strong because he used 3 packages. He also had a constellation who liked to walk dangerously on a tightrope. An aura covered his entire body. The Tyrant King was raising his sympathy with his sponsor to the limit. Several dokibis, including Bihyung, were staring at him from the air. They were prepared to make a plausibility request at any time if he violated plausibility. I certainly was a tyrant. But I am no longer a tyrant. The Tyrant King, Great King Hyeonchun Hongdu Gyangmun Wimu. History isn't scary. It is because from today onwards, I will make a new history for this land. The top tyrant of the Korean peninsula who wasn't recorded as a king in history. I am Yeon Sang-gun, born Lee Young. TL. Yeon Sang-gun is considered the worst tyrant of the Joseon dynasty, perhaps all of Korean history, notorious for launching 2 bloody purges of palace officials. Once overthrown, he didn't receive a temple name. Temple name explanation link. A tremendous magic power emerged from the Tyrant King as sympathy with the sponsor reached its limit. The group members in the way exploded. Level 30 magic power was inserted in the 3-ring loop. It was very dangerous. Don't back down. Everyone fight. However, the anti-Tyrant King alliance was also unbelievable. Apart from the other kings, there was also the Metria King and the Earth Dragon King. Once the kings united, the disadvantages were gradually reduced. The other kings raised the sympathy with their sponsor close to the limit. It wasn't just the incarnations, the constellations were also desperate. I looked down at Han Soo-young's head and asked, "You aren't going to fight?" Han Soo-young laughed at my words. Laughing? "I guess you still have room to spare," I said. Do you think it will go as you planned? Yeon Sang-gun and the other kings have started to fight. Once they are exhausted, you will be able to take the 4-yin demonic beheading sword. Right. It was pretty close. But it won't work. Your act of spreading the text was quite good, but I have been preparing for today much longer than you. What nonsense are you saying? In the end, the cliché will win. The voice of the intermediate Dokibi was heard in the air. Who? Everyone is fighting well. Great constellations, are you desperate? I see. The incarnations and constellations should work hard. Does everyone want to go up another narrative class? The battlefield quieted down at the Dokibi's voice. That's why I've brought good news. From now on, the second qualification test will begin. King's qualification. 1. The owner of the throne should be braver than anyone else. The absolute throne never wants a weak king. To challenge the throne, you must own at least a black flag. 2. He who dreams of the throne must desire it. The number of kings that can challenge the throne is decided. In order to gain the right to challenge it, you must remove the other kings around you. The intermediate Dokibi laughed. Please note that only 5 kings can challenge the final qualification of the absolute throne. The remaining number is, let's see. Number of kings remaining, 14. The people started murmuring. F14. Are there still kings outside? For your reference, there are 12 kings currently inside the hidden dungeon. I was a bit surprised. There was so many kings in this dungeon. Well, I didn't think I would be the only hidden king. Who is it? Who is the king that is hiding? The tyrant king laughed at the confused people. Ha ha ha. It is very funny that you are hitting each other in the back of the head. Now isn't the time to fight among ourselves. We must pay attention to the tyrant king. It happened when the kings barely regained their sense of reason. Here! This guy is the king. Han Suyeong's head shouted to everyone. I saw it. He has a flag. What? This was really... I quickly trampled on Han Suyeong's head. Everyone's attention focused on me. It was the moment when the death of one of the remaining kings was decided. If we kill him... I felt it was cheap. The plagiarist's plot was too shallow. Wait a minute, perhaps? How interesting. Was it like that? I focused on the people secretly moving behind the kings. They were the loyal subjects that the kings cherished. Cough! The thin knife cut off the head of a king. The number of remaining kings has been reduced. Number of kings remaining, 12. The prudent king and fighting king were exhausted, while the Metria king and Earth Dragon king were hit hard by the surprise attack. Even the tyrant king was stabbed in the side and thighs by 3 men from behind. These damn people! I realized who was behind this. The humans who betrayed their kings didn't bleed when their heads were cut off. The gems of the fallen kings were quickly taken by someone. The jewel! My jewel! The star jewels were moved through the hands of the hidden avatars, and gathered in one person's hands. I told you! In the end, the cliché won. A beautiful girl moved through the air and laughed as she landed on a niche. Surely this wasn't the main body of the plagiarist writer? I hadn't expected a woman. The 7 jewels gathered in her hands emitted light. The fake King Han Seyoung has gathered all 7 star jewels. The 7 star jewels are sacrificed to summon a new item. Fake King Han Seyoung is summoning the 4-yin demonic beheading sword. In the end, the plagiarist writer became the master of the 4-yin demonic beheading sword. She was the fake king. It was an attribute that matched amazingly well. Dr. Sai. What should we do? It is still okay. Yo Sanga made a strange face at my blasé words. Is it okay to be so calm? That is a great item. That's right. The S+ grade item was great. But Yeon Sangan's 3-ring loop was also a S-grade item. The performance was a bit different, but it wasn't that bad. Ha 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 hat. Die. Die. A dazzling magic power poured out of the 4-yin demonic beheading sword and swept through the battlefield. However, people didn't die easily. People thought they were going to explode, but they managed to neutralize her magic power. Her magic power was weakened because she used a lot of avatars, and above all, the 3 main kings were still alive. The confused Han Seyoung shouted, What is this? Why is it so weak? Kill her! Kill her and take away that sword. You are. Back off! Back off! It turned out like this. Han Seyoung was pushed back to where my party was located. I said to her, the cliché has broken. This is what usually happens. Shut up! Do you want me to help you? No need. Han Seyoung cried out and waved her sword again. But she seemed to be getting pushed back. I wanted to say something to this silly girl. The weapon wasn't famous because it was strong, but because the original owner was strong. I will kill you. The tyrant king recovered his confidence and started attacking, while the other kings started to fight as well. The battle soon became a melee with no allies. By the way, it should be time for him to come. Was he still wandering? The northern region of Seoul was far, but it was enough time for him to return. Number of kings remaining, 11. The signboard in the air changed. Number of kings remaining, 10. Ah, indeed. Number of kings remaining, 9. He came. What? Why is the number dwindling suddenly? The surrounding kings were filled with fear. The number of kings started decreasing for an unknown reason. Number of kings remaining, 8. The fear of the kings reached the limit as the number decreased to 1 digit. There is someone. Someone is killing the kings. On the other hand, there was someone rejoicing. The tyrant king. Ha ha ha. Who cares? You will also die. The tyrant king was about to fire the 3-ring loop again when the ceiling collapsed and the tyrant king fell. Quang! A formidable storm of magic power struck and the tyrant king screamed painfully. The enormous storm of magic power that disassembled all living things into particles destroyed the tyrant king's body. Uwak. Then. Number of kings remaining, 7. Only the cold appearance of a person remained in front of them. The people close to the unusual scene trembled and flopped down. What? What is this? A man had killed the tyrant king in a single blow, like he was a bug. The explosion cleared and his appearance was gradually revealed. The surviving kings and dying kings, everyone looked at him with captivation. Han Suyeong's legs shook with fear and she retreated. Nonsense, this is nonsense. The words of her avatar suddenly came to mind. The strongest among the 7 kings in Seoul was the tyrant king. I previously thought so, but these words weren't true. So far, I had met 5 out of the 7 kings, including Han Dong-hoon, who didn't become a king because of the prophets. Hermit King of Shadows, Han Dong-hoon. King of Beauty, Minute Jiwon. The Metria King Sijae Sang-kyung. Earth Dragon King Ji-yu Daesung. Tyrant King Jung Young-ho. Apart from the neutral king, who hadn't appeared yet, there was still one person. Then who was the remaining person? The answer was simple. In fact, I met him before any other kings. A furious voice rang through the battlefield. Kim Dokja. I smiled and waved towards him. A large black flag flew behind the person heading towards me. You came? Of the 7 kings of Seoul, the strongest was naturally the Supreme King, Yo Jong-hyuk. Chapter 69, Master of the Throne, 6. Nevertheless, a main character was a main character. I sent him to Gangbuk Station, but he already had a black flag. If a non-representative took away the flag of a representative, the hidden scenario Revolutionary Road would open. He knew this and killed a representative on the way here, making him a king. Looking at Yo Jong-hyuk's current appearance, it seemed like Lee Ji-hae and Jung Hee-won did a good job. I took a few steps back and looked at Han Se-young. Hey, quickly give me that sword. I don't want to. Do you want to die here? Han Suyeong's eyes were shaken as Yo Jong-hyuk moved. I exclaimed, Gilyung. Lee Gilyung's eyes turned white like he had been waiting. I heard a tearing sound and something pounding on the dungeon. Then after a while, the sickle of a praying mantis flew through one wall. The 6th grade insect king, Titanoptera, has appeared. Lee Gilyung's ability was the best. The whole cave shook with the enormous power of the giant insect king. As Yo Jong-hyuk looked back, I struck Han Se-young. Aak! Han Se-young groaned and let go of the 4-yin demonic beheading sword. I picked up the sword as well as the flag hanging from Han Se-young's neck as a bonus. You have won the flag of the Hongik University Group. Your purple flag has absorbed the cumulative achievements of the black flag. Your purple flag has evolved into a black flag. You are able to use the perks of the black flag. Congratulations! You have completed the first king's qualification. Number of kings remaining, 6. I ran straight towards the tyrant king. The tyrant king was lying down between a pile of stones, his body crushed like dough. It was terrible. He tried to kill everyone only to die in vain like this. Han Se-young shouted from behind me. You thief! I ignored her and quickly swept up the tyrant king's items. The item 3-ring loop has been acquired. The item dragon jar has been acquired. The revival dragon jar. The tyrant king obtained it by clearing the 7-person dungeon. Kim Dokja. Yo Jong-hyuk was chasing after me at a scary speed. Despite the fact that I had 30 agility, he narrowed the distance to me in an instant. I looked around and hid behind the nearest king. What? It was the king of Later Beach, Ji-Yu Dae-sung. Kuak! Yo Jong-hyuk's relentless blow cracked his head while Yo Jong-hyuk obtained his flag. The constellation founder of Hanimgun is looking at you. I felt sorry for Gyeonhwan, but it couldn't be helped. I promised to make it up to him next time. At this time, I decided to stop running away. Jong-hyuk, stop for a minute. Let's talk. That note. The note. My sister. It was only 2 words, but I instantly understood. Fortunately, Lee Ji-hai handled things safely. The note was given to Yo Jong-hyuk at the right time. What about your sister? Where did you hide my sister? What are you talking about? The character Yo Jong-hyuk is currently using lie detection LV6. The character Yo Jong-hyuk has confirmed that your words are false. If you don't tell me right away, you really will die. I knew it was true even without lie detection. The reason why Yo Jong-hyuk was like this was entirely due to my plot. I drove him to go north to save his sister, causing him to waste time searching the north. Yo Jong-hyuk's less worn-out personality in this 3rd regression made the plan possible. It couldn't be helped, even if I was acting cowardly. If Yo Jong-hyuk, who was much stronger than the original 3rd regression, ignored everything and engaged in the War of Kings, this scenario would have ended at his pace. Then I would never get the ending that I wanted. Okay. Let's put the sword down and talk. What if I was a real jerk? Are you taking my family hostage? That's going overboard. Isn't that just your words? The concept of a hostage didn't exist for him in the first place. This guy could just die and go back. Then why did you do this? Why do you think? Yo Jong-hyuk noticed that I was buying time and his expression cooled. I should have killed you at that time, then die. The moment that Yo Jong-hyuk raised his sword, a voice was heard from the air. Everyone here, please calm down. Why are you still fighting? Let's see, you've met the qualifications. The intermediate dokibi appeared at this moment. Yo Jong-hyuk also confirmed the number board floating in the air. Number of kings remaining, 5. The last king's qualification has begun. The bodies of the remaining kings, including me and Yo Jong-hyuk, started to be forcibly moved through space. Kim Dok. Yo Jong-hyuk reached out for me, but it was too late. I finally reached the last phase of this scenario. The qualified kings will move to the final testing place. The landscape started changing. It felt like my body was being sucked somewhere else. The next moment, tung. There was the sound of me bumping my head against something. A moment later, I became conscious again. You aren't qualified to take part in the last king's qualifications. What? I looked around and saw that I was standing in the center of Gwanghwamun. I had bumped into a barrier the size of a schoolyard. The center contained the absolute throne, the last reward of this scenario. Why couldn't I enter? Ha ha ha. This. You were only looking at the big picture and missed something important. I looked up at the sound of laughter and saw the ridiculing face of the intermediate dokibi. I thought he was playing tricks on me, but then an unexpected message flashed. You have failed to occupy the target station of the 4th scenario. You must first take the target station to be qualified for the last king's qualifications. Your group's target station is Changsin Station. Ah. I was only thinking about the kings and forgot. I hadn't occupied it yet. The last phase can't be performed unless the previous phase is cleared properly. Did you think you could get away with it? There was already fighting going on inside the barrier. If this continued, everything I had done would be in vain. I thought I should run to Changsin Station before it was too late. By the way, damn. Wouldn't all the scenarios end if I ran there? Doc Jisai. Yo Sanga was rushing over here while carrying the collapsed Lee Gil-young. But there were more people with them. Hey? Huon Sai. Jung Hee-won ran to this side while holding the hands of an unknown girl. Is my brother really here? The girl asked. Yes. How many times do I have to say it? But I'm hungry. Jung Hee-won wasn't supposed to be here right now. After saving a girl from the gangbuk area of Seoul, she should wait at Changshin Station. That was Jung Hee-won's job in this scenario. Hee-won-sai, why are you here? I told you to wait at Changshin Station. No, how long was I waiting? Besides, she has been hungry since morning. Aren't you worried about your sister? At Jung Hee-won's words, the girl pointed to me and said, that person isn't my brother. Eh? He is uglier than my brother. Damn kid. Jung Hee-won was surprised as she looked between me and the girl. Eh? This isn't Dr. Sai's sister? I thought that was why you asked me to save her. No. Then who is it? It was natural for Jung Hee-won not to know. Who would think this girl would be the psychopath sister? I heard a growling sound from the girl's stomach. I listened to the sound and laughter emerged. Would my perfect plan collapse here? Dr. Sai, where are you going? I'm going to occupy Changshin Station. I had to challenge it, even if I was late. I wish there was a long-distance teleport scroll, but the intermediate Dokibi wouldn't let me open the Dokibi bag. Then Jung Hee-won looked at me and opened her mouth. Why would you go there? Here. Kid, bring that thing out. Didn't I give it to you before? Yes. Yo Jong-hyuk's sister, Yo-ma put her hand in her mouth. After a moment, her mouth became abnormally large and an unusual sized stone emerged. It was Yo-mia's exclusive skill, inventory. I moved towards the chunk of stone. What is this? Don't you know? I examined the rough surface of the stone. Then I saw a small groove that could hold something. I never thought of this. Was this method possible? No one had tried this in ways of survival. Jung Hee-won shamelessly said, don't you need the flagpole to occupy the station? What type of ignorant human would think up an idea like this? Jung Hee-won had cut up the floor that contained the flag holder of Changshin Station. The constellation adventurer who stands up an egg admires Jung Hee-won's idea. I tried to say something but fell silent. Why, is something wrong? No. Then what are you doing? Go ahead and insert the flag. I nodded and pulled out the flag. You have occupied Changshin Station. You have earned 2,000 coins as a reward for struggle for the flag. I really did it. Your group has occupied the target station. Your body has moved to the battlefield of the last king's qualification. My consciousness flickered again. A message popped up as a king's qualification was added. King's qualification. 1. The owner of the throne should be braver than anyone else. The absolute throne never wants a weak king. To challenge the throne, you must own at least a black flag. 2. He who dreams of the throne must desire it. The number of kings that can challenge the throne is decided. In order to gain the right to challenge it, you must remove the other kings around you. 3. A single king stands alone without any help. The king who can challenge the throne must be able to prove his strength was just his body. The constellation Maritime War God is calmly watching the situation. The constellation Bald General of Justice is cheering for the upper-grade constellations. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is laughing. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon scoffs at the upper-grade constellations. The constellations had opposite reactions unlike other times. It was because the constellations had different ranks. The gap between upper grade and narrative grade was like the difference between a child and an adult. That's why the reaction of the constellations watching the broadcast differed. Like adults not paying attention to a child's game of hide-and-seek, this scenario was meaningless for constellations above narrative grade. But the upper-grade constellations were different. In this scenario, the triumphant upper-grade constellation would climb to the absolute throne and build up their story. This was why the upper-grade constellations were impatient once the king's qualification scenario began. I opened my eyes and the king's battlefield began. From now on, all kings can't receive the support of their sponsor. From now on, the attack and defense of all items will be limited. From now on, all skills, stigmas and special item options will be sealed. From now on, the total stats of all kings will change to 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. The last king's qualification will continue until one person is left. Chapter 70, A Kingless World, 1. The Last King's Test. It was an extreme trial that had to be overcome with your body only. The floor of Guanghuamen was a mess. The absolute throne was in the center while the kings were fighting each other. King of Beauty, Minute Jiwen. The Metria King Siche Sankyung. Supreme King Yo Jonghyuk. Then the middle-aged man in the corner. He was the neutral king. The neutral king raised his hands as he met my eyes. The neutral king has abstained from fighting for the throne. As the name suggested, the neutral king wasn't greedy for the throne. Only the remaining three were greedy. One of the three was Yo Jonghyuk, so the fight should have ended in less than a minute. At least, if it was the original story. Die! Metria King Si Sankyung's legs split apart the air while Yo Jonghyuk's kick struck Siche Sankyung's abdomen. Cuck! However, Siche Sankyung wasn't as damaged as expected. It was because all stats were changed to level 10. The skills were sealed, so Yo Jonghyuk had to win the battle with just his flesh memories. Minute Jiwen looked behind them and saw me. I nodded slightly at her. We meet again. Yes. I didn't want to fight you if possible. Minute Jiwen must have filled the other king's qualifications if she came to this place. It was great. I honestly didn't think she could survive until the end. If you don't abstain, I will attack. Try it. Do you think it will be easy? We have to fight with all our stats at level 10 with no skills or no stigma. It was too shabby compared to the kings who broke the city while fighting a while ago. There was a loud noise and Si Sankyung screamed, "Cough! Wi!" Siche Sankyung rolled around painfully on the floor after being struck by Yo Jonghyuk's fist. It had been an equal fight until then, but something was changing little by little. Skills and stigmas couldn't be used, but Yo Jonghyuk's attacks were getting faster and harder. It wasn't merely Yo Jonghyuk's combat sense. Minute Jiwen became surprised as she noticed. How? If I remembered correctly, Yo Jonghyuk knew the loophole of the last phase. Maybe these messages were currently rising in Yo Jonghyuk's mind. 400 coins have been invested in physique. 400 coins have been invested in agility. 400 coins have been invested in strength. The funny thing was that this battlefield controlled everything except for one factor. It was the use of the coins. The constellation Lady of the Brocade Sleep questions the fairness of the scenario. The intermediate Dokibi laughed. Haha, what is your question? It is a natural right to be able to use coins. The coins are the hard-earned work of the incarnations. They worked so hard to gather coins that they should have a chance to use it. Yo Jonghyuk was raising his stats using his coins. Oh, the stats increased with the coins will be reset after the scenario is over. So be careful. It is like throwing away coins into the air. Ha ha ha. Minute Jiwen and Si Sankyung's complexions darkened once they heard the words of the intermediate Dokibi. Perhaps they didn't have much coins remaining. It was natural. They wouldn't be able to save coins in the battlefield between kings. But Yo Jonghyuk was different. Yo Jonghyuk grew by breaking through all types of hidden scenarios from the beginning and always carried an appropriate amount of coins in reserve. The original third round Yo Jonghyuk had around 30,000 coins at this point. Now he had more coins than the original story, so it should be around 40,000? There was the loud sound of somebody being hit and Si Sankyung's body flew through the air. The Metria King Siche Sankyung is out of combat. Yo Jonghyuk looked at the nearby Minute Jiwen. She jumped with surprise and hurriedly raised both hands. I will abstain. King of Beauty Minute Jiwen has abstained from the battle. Finally, Yo Jonghyuk turned towards me. His angry eyes calmed down. It was understandable. If he took the absolute throne, He could control all kings and it wouldn't be a problem to get his sister back from me. But would that happen? Yo Jong-hyuk. We aimed out swords at each other. I couldn't use any skills, so I had to rely on my flesh memories and my stats. For the first time, Yo Jong-hyuk's blade was visible. It must be a fake. He was estimating my stats and how much coins I had left. He was truly a prudent person. It was a trick to win by investing the minimum amount of coins. However, his pride would cause his defeat this time. It was because there wasn't any king in Seoul who had more coins than me right now. Coins possessed, 80,850 C. Who would think that I had 80,000 coins? I laughed at Yo Jong-hyuk, who was running towards me. I'll hit you gently, so please don't die. Now was the time to spend big. I invested a large number of coins into strength. 4,000 coins have been invested in strength. Strength LV 10 strength LV 20. 5,000 coins have been invested in strength. Strength LV 20 strength LV 30. 6,000 coins have been invested in strength. Strength LV 30 strength LV 40. 11,000 coins have been invested in strength. Strength LV 80 strength LV 90. 12,000 coins have been invested in strength. Strength LV 90 strength LV 100. 72,000 coins have been consumed. Your strength has broken through the limits of a human. The achievement has been processed. You are the first to achieve a 3-digit level in strength. 30,000 coins have been acquired as a reward. I adjusted the power in my fist. A strike containing 100 strength was enormous. It would be difficult if I accidentally killed Yo Jong-hyuk. I felt the space around my fist bend slightly. According to ways of survival, all stats had different destructive power from the moment they broke through the 3 digits. How did it feel? Of course, it felt like I was a killer. It felt like my fist was holding a check for $1 billion. Yo Jong-hyuk's eyes widened as he hurriedly used coins. However, it was too late. There was a sound like a sonic boom. Yo Jong-hyuk shot into the sky like a baseball being hit by a bat. Unfortunately, it was impossible to hit a home run in this stadium. The flying Yo Jong-hyuk hit a barrier, bounced in the opposite direction and hit another barrier and landed on the ground after repeating this ping-pong action 5 or 6 times. Surely he wasn't dead? I ran towards Yo Jong-hyuk with a bit of confusion in my heart. Damn, why did I do this? I should have used a bit less strength. I carefully pulled Yo Jong-hyuk off the ground. Then, this was a main character. Yo Jong-hyuk was staring at me with wide-open eyes. He was still conscious despite being hit by a punch filled with 100 strength? Yo Jong-hyuk. Jong-hyuk. His eyes didn't move. This bastard, did he faint with his eyes open? Did I hit him that hard? No, I would have to keep hitting Yo Jong-hyuk in the future. Well, Yo will be in trouble if you keep acting as usual. How can you say to kill me every time you see me? I slapped his swollen face. Somehow, I felt his eyes move whenever I hit him, causing me to feel nervous. In any case, he was breathing. The bones in his body were broken and he was bleeding. It was a situation where he couldn't use the recovery skill, so his life could be in danger. I had to do my work quickly. Supreme King Yo Jong-hyuk is out of combat. Congratulations. You have passed all the tests of the Absolute Throne. The ward in the air slowly disappeared. The temporary stats added by the coins are reset. All constraints on the kings have disappeared. The constellation prisoner of the golden headband has his hair standing up from excessive carbonic acid. The constellation's secretive plotter applauds your actions. The constellation demon-like judge of fire admires your patience. 4,500 coins have been sponsored. I also heard the messages of the upper-grade constellations. The constellation Lady of the Brocade Sleep is regretful. The constellation One-Eyed Metria has thrown away his eye patch. The constellation Founder of Hanamgun feels a grudge towards you. Of course, the kings of the 3 kingdoms blamed me. Thanks to me, they missed an opportunity to jump to the narrative grade. Oh, a surprising winner has appeared. The intermediate Dokibi looked somewhat dissatisfied. He hadn't expected me to win. Yet I had won. Well, good. This is the result. Now, I am informing all incarnations of soul. Just now, a new owner of the Absolute Throne was born. I stopped the intermediate Dokibi who was about to launch the system messages. Wait a minute. What do you want? The Dokibi's eyebrows twitched. You are too hasty. I haven't even sat on the throne yet. Shouldn't you ask me first? You will go up now, so does it matter? I approached the Absolute Throne. At this moment, I felt all constellations observing the Soul Dome focus on me. The Absolute Throne floating in the sky slowly descended towards me. It showed off its golden charm like it had been waiting for me for a long time. I asked the intermediate Dokibi, what can I do with this? You can do anything to humans. It was short but scary. The Absolute Throne is just the name of the item. As long as you sit on the throne, you can become an omnipotent power. No one on this earth can stand against you and everyone will bow before you. The people looked at me enviously after hearing the Dokibi's explanation. It was natural to envy me. Everybody had run to this place for this reason. The constellation Lady of the Brocade Sleep is licking her lips. Even the constellations? It was really pitiful and strange. They felt envious despite knowing the real identity of the item. I really disliked the constellations. Is that all? Heh. It is too good that it is ridiculous. I will enjoy absolute power on the land that I control. Isn't it right to receive a reward in return for suffering? How many times have you almost died due to the throne? Ah, so the throne can act beyond the constraints of plausibility. What? You are good at lying. Aren't you a Dokibi? Won't the Bureau say something if you scam me like this? The expression of the intermediate Dokibi hardened. On the other side, Bi-Hyung was looking at me with a pale face. I am tired of this talk. I have to finish the scenario. Now sit on the throne. If you talk nonsense one more time, I will break the Absolute Throne. Ah, you can do that? Then go ahead. Here. I looked at the Dokibi and the people staring before opening my mouth. I will never sit on this Absolute Throne. A terrible silence swept through Gwanghwaman.